Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. A Scottish man is essentially kidnapped by his Chinese-made electric car. As crazy as it sounds, Brian Morrison of Glasgow was heading home from work the other night when he realized that his car was stuck at 30 miles an hour. There was a loud grinding noise that sounded like brake pads, but since Morrison's car is so new, he figured that couldn't be the case. The brakes couldn't be going out already. The car is an MG-ZS, a product of the iconic MG Motor UK brand, which was bought out by the Nanjing Automobile Group in 2006 and then merged with the Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, which is owned by the Chinese state. The 53-year-old called the cops after his car refused to slow or brake for an upcoming roundabout. And after successfully navigating that and some other lights and cars, several police units were able to track him down and pull up in front and behind him while engineers spoke to him by phone. They tried everything from holding the ignition button down for several seconds to try and shut it off, to having Morrison throw his keys into the officer's car and having them drive away with it. But nothing was overriding the system, and the dashboard was lit up with every alert imaginable. At some point, the car slowed itself to about 15 miles an hour, and the cop cars in front of him purposely allowed his runaway vehicle to crash into their cars, while another cop jumped inside with Morrison and finally got it to stop. They still aren't exactly clear on how that even happened. When the car was later plugged in for a diagnostics check, the readout produced pages and pages of faults, but engineers are too afraid to turn the engine back on to see what's wrong. Now, obviously, somewhat similar situations have happened with faulty cars that become stuck on accelerate when it's gas-powered cars. But the fact that this is an EV with ties to China have many worried about the political implications of all this technology. Joining us now to discuss all this and a whole lot more is biostatistician Steve Malloy, the founder of JunkScience.com. Steve, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, Kara, thanks for having me.
Okay, so what do you make of this terrifying situation?
Well, I guess it's kind of humorous, but, we're lucky that no one was hurt. And I think that, a runaway car is kind of minor. I'm more concerned about, that we have this whole headlong rush into electrification. And a lot of these electronics, the chips, they come from China. And who knows what's really going on with them? California, for example, wants to electrify the cranes in its ports. Well, what if something similar to what happened to that Scottish guy in his car happens to a big crane? It's easy for, I think, the Chinese or the Russians to hack into a lot of our infrastructure, which is all electronic. We haven't thought any of this through. We're just sort of rushing into it. And, it would be one thing if we were making it ourselves and the Russians and Chinese at least had to, try hard to break in. But for all we know, they're setting up our infrastructure for a massive cyber attack.
I remember, I think it was maybe 2 years ago at this point with the eastern seaboard on the eastern side of the United States, there was a whole issue where there was some kind of infrastructure, there was some kind of malware, some kind of attack like that, digital cyber attack. People couldn't get gas, remember? Then there are sheriff's departments out here on the West Coast, and it gets barely any reporting. They still don't even know who the hackers are, but hackers were able to hold up sheriff's departments, jails, hospitals, and the rest and say, give us all this money or we're going to, destroy databases or make sure you can't log into sensitive information. So you're exactly right. And I think, again, with the runaway cars, when it's just a regular gas-powered vehicle, that's a very tangible issue with the car. It's a specific part on the car that's not working or gets stuck a certain way. The other with the EVs that people are worried about, it's more that there's a lot of technology and electronics that an outside force, remember everyone jokes that if we're all in EVs, could the government just say, oh, you're not allowed to turn on your car today because you said something that affected your social credit score? So those are two very different things as well. And also, they're reporting that in Kansas, there's an electric vehicle battery factory that they're building out there. It's $4 billion worth. Panasonic is building it near DeSoto, Kansas. But the thing is, and they're supposed to be up and ready by, I think, March of 2025 with new lithium-ion batteries. But the funniest part is that they're trying to get us away from fossil fuels, remember? Well, now they need to keep the coal plant open and for longer instead of shutting it down because they need that for the EV factory. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so the most energy intensive part of the EV is the battery manufacture. And this is why most of it's really done in China. It's why Elon Musk makes his Teslas in China, or a lot of them, because in China they've got all the energy they need. In the United States, it's a little more difficult to come up with that now.